be described as bad. It is something expected.
Tomorrow, it might not be bad then.
Yes, tomorrow it might not be bad. I usually watch such videos and usually the other person utters kalima ashahada. But I'm a little like I've been driven into the abyss.
What do? Do you go to university?
Yes, I do, majoring in physics.
In every religion, there is an imagination of a creator. They worship Allah in Islam, and they adore Buddha in Buddhism, etc. How can we determine the creator? Couldn't Zeus be a creator? What do you think?
Giving a definite answer isn't possible, I think. Anything positive that science shows us to be certainly true may turn out to be wrong in the end. We may have disregarded something, forgotten something, and that factor may have affected, and all of our predictions, in the end, can be proved wrong.
Yes, but do you have such faith? Or do you believe in a creator?
No, I don't right now. I can be a pantheist, that is believing that nature is God, but that's not very much like faith, it isn't.
All substances do their work themselves. Do you agree?
Yes, even if something makes them do it, I don't know that.
Got it. All right. Then I will ask you a few questions. If these atoms themselves, or what we call nature, can do this on their own, even the smallest building block must have all this knowledge and power to be able to do something for something to happen. For example, think of it like this. Our cells breathe. Inside our cells, each atomic particle must know this breathing logically.
Some abstract concepts, I don't think they know. What we think of as knowledge is the work of a more advanced neurological structure. In these little creatures, such a neurological structure is not seen, and the deeds that we think of as knowing are not displayed by them. Therefore, I don't think they have the knowledge. We do not do everything consciously. For example, in a state of reflex, it occurs without reaching our consciousness. In a way, we don't know that.
Exactly.
So knowing is not necessary to believe.
Acting upon this, I say the things I do unconsciously, I say I don't do them.
Okay, reasonable, yes.
So it means there is someone else doing them. That's what I think. For example, you say, I give an example, nature does it. Is that right? For example, you have a bag, I have a watch, I have shoes. If they have been produced, if they are in display, my logic, my comparison tells me this. All these stages are to be known. That's what it says. For example, if an engineer comes to you and says that he has designed this watch, and then, for example, you ask him about this watch, a part of it, I don't know. If you ask him how it works, and he says to you, I do not know. And then if you ask him something else, and if he still says, I do not know, and if you ask him something else, and yet he says, I don't know, then you ask him, how did you do that? And if he still doesn't have an answer, what would you think? This engineer has designed this watch. Can we believe that?
I will look at it a bit more from the positive science side and say something. At some point, you already stop questioning, and if anything, in different conditions, in different experimental settings, does the same thing, if it displays the same thing, then you'll say this thing does it. And if you can't go deeper, you think this knowledge is correct and accept it.
Got it? It is actually like a faith, presupposition. It looks like that.
Well, not a presupposition, actually.
We just accept it like that. But normally, if we want to place it on a logical framework,
It looks like you've skipped a bit right now to theorize it, to understand. You said I need this and that. Yes, to theorize it, it is necessary to have imagination. Having knowledge is a must. By understanding just one event, after that event, you can move on to what is necessary to do that event.
yes, I think you've put your finger on a very good point. I say this. Our explaining the order of something, explaining the order of occurrence does not mean no one did it. If I tell you how that building was made, and if I show you a plan of it, and then if I make a claim and say, look, I found its plan, have you seen it? This means nobody has made this building? That doesn't make any sense.
Definitely.
In that case, my cells breathe. After showing its physical equation and its chemical equation, if I say, look, nobody causes this breathing to occur, that won't make any sense either. You know that in science too, if we say about something we accept it like this, if we say so, this will mean moving away from science. Related to many issues, Christians and maybe Muslims of today are being criticized. You say that Allah created, the Creator created, and you leave it. But we investigate it. We try to make something out of it.
I agree with that, yes.
Science actually puts an end here. What we regard as fact, as reality, the things that we can count are only these kind of. For example, F equals MA. But nobody did F equals MA. So to say that this law does it is now a faith because the law does not do anything like that anyway. Why not? For example, let's write here and let's say, on this street, it's forbidden to smoke from now on. I'm giving an example. Or drinking is prohibited. If that law is not implemented by a constable, a policeman, the law will not come and check it.
So it depends. If we could make all the people focused on obeying this law, if we could program them.
Then, to implement this law, we need people.
Yes, exactly.
For example, the earth attracts us. Is it the law that attracts us? The law can't attract. If the law doesn't attract, every single atom of every atom on the earth needs to apply that power on me. To apply that power, the atoms need to know the strength each one needs to weigh me and how much power to exert. Instead of attributing this task to each atom, I say someone who has endless knowledge guides them. Imagine it as a company. In a company, it is easier to have 200 bosses or a boss to manage 200 people.
Well, a boss... Just a minute, I'm confused. You said first that the law was not binding. You mentioned that it had no power like that. Oh, yes, the law can't be the force that made these things. That's what you said. Yes, but also, I can't just say someone caused it to be done, because I just don't know. It'll be a presupposition. Nothing else.
But so far, at the point where we have reached, I haven't found anything that can explain it better, and I don't base my belief only on this. The points that I base my belief on also have the following. For example, the book from which I've learned it also says that when it hails, the hailstones come from a mountain in the sky. Severe lightning strikes are also included in it. In the photographs taken lately, when it hails, when the clouds move away, a separate layer, a layer like a mountain, is seen above the clouds. Or it mentions, for example, hefty clouds. Maybe you know there are ice clouds of cumulus. They weigh up to 300 tons. I say there were no measuring devices at that time. They didn't have tools. Someone looking at the sky should say they must be light, but someone mentions just the opposite, hefty clouds. Or that the iron was sent down from the sky. You've probably heard of it. We have discovered that iron can't occur with the heat in the nucleus of the Earth, that is, in its center, and that as a result of a collision with an asteroid or with another planet, iron came to the world.
They are solid pieces of evidence, you know.
I can count 15 more examples like these. For example, if someone shoots a random arrow and hits the target, you can say it's coincidental. But if he shoots 15 arrows one after another and he hits the target every time, you'll say this man is a master.
There is a problem like this. When a scientific fact is revealed, that scientific fact shouldn't be expressed in abstract terms. That is, expressions that everybody objectively understands should be used, especially in numerical values. They should be expressed like that so it won't change from person to person.
Okay, there's no problem with it, but science is something very limited. I'll give an example. What we call ethics can't be explained with science.
So ethics can also be examined scientifically. Well, it's not so certain. You might not put it in an experimental environment.
But isn't any acceptance of scientific fact like that anyway? Observation? Even if there is, I would say since a better way is available, I have a claim. For example, 1400 years ago, Arabs had a disgusting custom. They regarded having a daughter as something shameful, and they killed them by burying them alive while looking into their eyes. At that time, a prophet came, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It's up to you whether you accept him, peace be upon him, as a prophet or not. That prophet, peace be upon him, couldn't read or write. As his, peace be upon him, enemies also accepted this during his 23 year of prophethood, he, peace be upon him, eliminated that bad custom. He, peace be upon him, didn't have a computer. There was no television, there was no satellite, and no internet, there were no cameras, there were no microphones. Since we have better ethics today, let those scientists gather, sociologists gather, psychologists gather. Let them use all these resources for themselves. Let them use the governments and social community organizations. Let them eliminate pedophilia then.
Pedophilia is not about character. I don't think it's something that can be described as evil.
The rape of a child, is it possible at all to regard it as something normal?
These people don't want to be like this. They don't prefer it. The rape of children? They don't want it, but it's something beyond their control, just like their gender or the color of their eyes is beyond their control.
Does it exist in their genes?
Do they have it in their genes? I do not know, but I mean, if it's in their genes...
For example, World Health Organization until a few years ago regarded people of different genders as ill. A normal person's hormones being different from what needs to be. They considered it like that. After they received a severe reaction, they changed it. But there are even scientists who discovered this. They say one of the identical twins after birth tended to be gay and the other one a normal male. they had such sexual orientations. So if it's in your genes, if it is something genetic, not related to environmental factors, both of them need to be the same. Some scientists tested it. It was proved that it changed later. There's no such thing in genes. For example, I had no right to choose my eye color. Similarly, I had no right to choose it. The sentence above is correct, but it is correct for the man and woman. The remaining parts have been scientifically proven to be related to environmental factors.
We cannot choose our genes. We can't choose the family in which we are born and the environment in which we are born either. We can't choose the environmental factors that contribute to us either.
Where do we go from here? I don't understand it.
Oh,
I can't choose those environmental factors. So is it normal for me to rape someone? I don't understand it. For example, how should we explain the state of the person who was raped? Should we say it was an unfortunate accident?
it was an unfortunate accident.
This person's hormones after birth, it wasn't in his genes. After birth, he had a tendency like this. That's why something like this happened to you. Sorry, shall we say have a happy life with your rapist?
No, we won't say that.
How shall we find a solution?
I've found in my mind a consistent way like this. What I say indicates that you don't actually have free will. If we can't determine our genetics, if we can't determine our environment, we can't determine who we are.
In that case, for example, no one can be accused of a crime. For example, if someone comes and kills you, he will not be regarded as guilty. If he has no free will, and if they, for example, put him in jail, they will be cruel. They will have persecuted him.
It is something expected.
So, then that event will come from psychological wounds or can cause that person to experience things throughout his life. So, a regrettable accident, and scientifically, we don't have a solution for it. We face today's most important, most troublesome social wounds, but scientifically, we have no solution.
Actually, we have.
Like what? He didn't have free will. Is that why he did something like that to you?
I don't have free will, but some complex factors came together and caused such a thing to happen.
Therefore, sorry.
Sorry? No. Some complex factors somehow came together and caused me and society to qualify it as bad.
Tomorrow, it might not be bad.
Yes, it might not be bad tomorrow. In Hitler's time, killing people, at least according to some admirals, wasn't bad, and it served the good of humanity. After that, it changed. It is something that could happen. Saying that there is an absolute law of ethics sounds a little different to me. It is as if something is changeable over time.
When a person doesn't believe in anything fixed, that is unchanged law of ethics, I think he can resort to such criminal acts. That is, I don't want anybody to be raped, or I want all the people who do it to be punished. They can't be punished here. Hitler killed 100,000, maybe 100 million or more people. Even if we want him to be punished, we can't punish him here anyway. Therefore, there has to be a place where he will suffer eternal torment.
Why?
Because he can't get sufficient punishment for it here.
Why does he have to?
Then it will be an unfair world. The claim is this: the world is unjust because there's no creator.
Well, I don't agree with it. Not at all.
Okay.
The argument for the existence of evil, in my opinion, anyway, I don't know those parts very well, frankly. I usually watch such videos, and usually the other person utters kalima ashahada. But I'm a little, I've been driven into the abyss. Therefore, I'm sorry.
No, what I want is just this. What we say should make sense and be consistent.
In my opinion, it was a nice interaction, by the way, thanks.
Got it? But I'm sure that when a child who has not yet made his choice is raped, as a result of it, he will clearly and definitely undergo some psychological phases. Even if society regards it as appropriate tomorrow, that boy will suffer from it throughout his life. I don't think we can solve it with science.
I do, because there are methods of trauma treatment.
Trauma can be treated, but if he experiences them at that stage of his life, it is not a good thing.
So there is social planning, done with high quality and by the examination of data.
Then we can view the issue like this. It means they are not as useful as even an illiterate person who lived 1,400 years ago, because they're still continuing.
They are useful. How are they not useful?
That period ended. For example, it is written in history books that the burial of children was later abolished. In this period, this still happens, unfortunately, still going on.
Then if I went behind the house and if I buried a girl, probably nobody would write in history books that I buried this girl. It wouldn't be recorded. It would be forgotten.
I think that's ridiculous. It's obvious when someone is pregnant. It becomes very clear when she gives birth to a child. That the child disappeared will certainly become apparent in society. So it's not a sin that you can do. You can manage on your own. For example, at worst, it will be recorded as a lost child.
So history usually deals with bigger events. I don't think they will care about the child a lot.
They wouldn't care about a child, but if 1,000 children were buried like this, they would care.
Yes, If he reduced 1,000 to 1, it's a good job. But right now, it's already...
We can't reduce 1,000 to 1. On the contrary, it increases.
What are the rates?
Well, right now I do not know clearly. At worst, the number we hear increases at worst.
It's sad.
Well, thank you.
I also thank you. Thanks.